William is here, Charles here, Dylan is here, JC is, and Richard. I don't show that Richard Zimmerman has come on yet, and Jesse's not on, and I don't see Scott on either. That said, we do have a quorum still of the voting members. And before we get going too much here, just a couple notes. Among this team, among this board, part of the reason why I'm sure Jesse's not on right now, his father passed away. I don't know how many people knew that, but keep him and his family in your prayers and your thoughts, good thoughts. And in the meantime, I think that we need to send something to his family from this board, from USA Kansas Wrestling to his family. Can someone take care of that?
Kurt, I can take care of that.
Okay. I have his address. And I appreciate that, Mickey. If you need his address or whatever, I can get that to you too.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. We have an agenda of tonight. We have an agenda of just looking at the bylaws, the 4 bylaws that we tabled that had to do with weight classes at our last meeting. And the only other thing was rule modification that William had prepared, and we didn't get to any rule modifications. We looked only at bylaw changes that day. So we'll do that. We'll do those 2 items. And that said, let's go ahead and get started. Steve, you had an action to combine or take a look at all 4 of those together. Do you need to share the screen or?
Yep, I will share. Unfortunately, one of them was too large when it got sent out, and I don't believe anybody could. But I do believe that it is covered. The weight class change is covered by one of the other 3 proposals. So I think we're still good. But if somebody can open that while we go through this, then we can verify that if that is true. Give me 1 second, and I'm going to share my screen.
Real quick, this is the item that you're talking about. It's under, can everybody see my screen there? It's under this Darren Schneider, and it's his second item. And he recommended to add another weight class in between the girls 10 and under 90 pounds, 110, and definitely for the 12 and under 120 through the 140, adding a weight class there. That's what it said. There's
between girls 10 and under 90 and 110.
Yes, sir.
So I believe that is covered by Rusty's proposal. So I will highlight that.
And the other one was 12 and under, between 120 and 140.
That one is also covered by Rusty's proposal.
Okay.
So basically adding 130 pounds. Can everybody
go
see
ahead? You have it.
Yep. Can everybody see my screen okay?
We can see it.
Okay, so what I've done is I kind of put together a hybrid. What if we did this? What if we did that? So my proposal, which if I'm going to be purely honest, I screwed up when I submitted my proposal, because my proposal was to add 6 and under and then reduce the number of other age brackets so you don't grow the tournament. So I have I'm going to show that as well. But basically, and so I've got a lot of math in here. So if you look at the proposal as I produced it for girls, when we set up the girls' weight classes, they were more in line with how they do it at USA Wrestling National, which is basically 5-pound increments. So if I look at my proposal that I did, which was to simply add 6 and under girls, it starts at 35 pounds and goes up to 100. And then what I did was I said, how many current brackets is that the way we do it today? So it's 72 brackets for the girls. My proposal would take us to 84 brackets. If we look at the number of maximum potential wrestlers, you would go from current condition, your maximum potential wrestlers is 1,152. My new proposal would take us maximum potential of 1,344, which seems like a lot. But when we look at how many wrestlers actually wrestled, I believe the girls were like 85% penetrated to max. So if we normalize these numbers to what we actually did, you're looking at growing the girls approximately 163 wrestlers. With that being said, our current plan is to add 2 additional mats to the tournament. So if I take the 979 wrestlers divided by 20 mats, it's an average of 49 matches a mat. If you take the 1,344 and divide it by 22 mats, it's basically 52 matches per mat. So you're growing the girls' day by basically 3 matches per mat. Last year, I went and looked at our latest finish time. We finished around 6 p.m. I then took my proposal, Michelle Anderson's 1 weight class proposal, Rusty Miller's multiple weight class proposal, and then this other one that you just mentioned. And I blended them all together and said, what would it look like? Now, I want to throw this out there. I do believe that we have a disparity between the girls' brackets, the number we offer, and the boys. Today, we offer 72 brackets for girls. We offer 101 brackets for boys. So there is somewhat of a disparity. I do like the fact that when we established standard brackets for girls, we did them in 5-pound increments, basically, for everything that is 12 and under and below. When you get to 14 and under, it's not quite 5-pound increments. These are the ones you have. And of course, our high school division follows whatever we're doing in high school. So I'm okay with that. But if I were to blend Rusty's suggestion and my suggestion together, along with Michelle and this other one, basically you would go from 72 brackets to 97 brackets, which seems like a lot. In terms of wrestling time, you know, we finished at 6 p.m. last year. If I were to take this estimated number, which is 85% of the max for the girls, you're looking at going from 58 matches a mat to 60 matches a minute. So basically, I think when it comes to the girls' day, if you took my suggestion and Rusty's suggestion, Michelle's suggestion, blend them together, which includes adding a 600 division, I think you're looking at worst case scenario as adding 1 hour to the tournament on Friday, assuming we keep girls on Fridays and boys on Saturday, Sunday. Before I go to the boys, I want to open this up for discussion, see what you guys think.
I mean, I don't think it makes that much of a big strain on the tournament either way. I think it opens up opportunities for the heavier girls, and that's always been a complaint within our district, that there are a few girls that, have to bump up to that older age group because there's no weight class size. So I'm glad we're looking at it, that's for sure.
Is that who's speaking? Sorry, I didn't look at the voice. Susan has her hand up.
Hey, Stephen, thank you first for putting all these numbers together. Of course, my dog's going to bark the moment I start talking. Sorry about that. I personally, the fact and the matter is the girls are growing at crazy rapid numbers. So I feel like if we go to the 84 now, we're just going to end up in a year or two going to the 97. I think a lot of times when you're talking to parents, when we have Madison weights or weight classes where there's a larger gap in between the two, that's when parents, especially in the younger ages, start getting concerned about there's a 10-pound weight class and I'm afraid my kid's going to get hurt. Those are the biggest things that I think people get concerned about. So I appreciate you putting numbers together But I personally appreciate the 97 brackets versus the 84. But thanks for putting all those numbers together, Stephen.
You're welcome. And I still think with the addition of 2 more mats, I still think that we get out of there to really decent timing. We learned a lot about what not to do this year, especially like the parade. We'll be much more efficient when it comes to the Blues Day next year as opposed to sure, much more
And we
efficient.
still have some room to grow out in exhibition hall. We can put an additional 2 mats on top of the 2 that Steven's talking about out there. So you know, we do have some leeway to go even further than that if we need to.
If we needed to, we could run 12 mats in the, but I think if we added just 2 more, they would go into exhibition hall. I think we're good. Either way you look at it, I think we're good.
And I'm obviously for anything that expands the opportunities for the ladies division, especially because of how quickly it's growing and I believe will continue to grow. So as Susan said, we could do the smaller amount this year, but we're just going to be right back at this again next year. So we'll see.
Well, I almost wish somebody would have put together a proposal that we would have an annual or a biannual team of people that had the authority to review these weight classes on an annual or biannual basis and dynamically make adjustments to them without having to do a bylaw. But anyhow, that's just my opinion. And of course, anything that's in bold red, that's things that have changed over what we currently do. And I'm also going to say this, you can't add 6 and under girls without also adding 6 and under. Any other comments relative to girls? If not, we'll discuss boys and then we'll have a final discussion and you guys can decide what you'd like to do. When it comes to boys, as I mentioned earlier, I kind of goofed up. I was running the tournament, or Folkstyle State tournament, and trying to put together my proposal for the adding 6 and under. I'm going to show you what it would look like as I proposed it. I'm going to show you what it would look like if we, what I really want it to be. So this proposal simply has us adding 6 and under boys, once again in 5-pound increments, starting at 40 and going up to 110. I have a maximum worst case scenario. What would that look like? You're looking at around 16 boys compared to 1471, which is what we had last year. So you're looking at on the boys side, it can simply add the boys without modifying any of the existing weight classes. You're looking at adding around 175 additional athletes. And that normalizes itself for the fact that on the girls' side, we were 85% penetrated to max on the brackets. On the boys' side, it's a little bit higher. It's like 91%. But once again, by adding 2 additional mats, you're talking about going from an average of 74 matches per mat to an average of 75 matches per mat. So you're talking, I went and pulled up track wrestling. Our last match we wrestled on Sunday afternoon was a 2 p.m. match. So if you simply added 6 and under and didn't modify any of the current weight classes, I think it's a very, very minimal impact to the overall schedule. While at the same time, we are now giving those 6 and under kids, which are the largest proportion of all of our kids, an opportunity to wrestle in a true state tournament. The one concern is going to be, hey, we're going to add 12 weight classes for 6 and under, but we have 19 for 8 and under, 21, 22, 23, and then we drop back to 16 for the high school. So I do think there's an opportunity for us to normalize the weight classes into 5-pound increments for the boys, like we already have done for the girls. But I want to open this up for some conversation before I show you ultimately what I would propose we do for boys. I would propose for the girls, we add Rusty's weight classes in 6 and under and we move on. For the boys, I have a little bit different perspective, but I want to open this up for conversation.
Scott, did you jump on, Scott? Are you with us?
I see him in the conversations.
Yeah. It just says Scott unverified, but that's okay. I just wanted to make sure he was on, if that's him.
So not knowing about 16U boys, how many weight classes are there normally, Stephen?
Say that again.
How many, when we did the 6U boys state, how many weight classes were there for that?
For that tournament, it's insane. They have so many kids, it's like a weight class every 2 pounds.
Holy cow,
Yeah.
okay.
It is totally crazy insane. Like they have a 40, 42, 44, 46.
And the brackets are full?
Relatively, I don't have access to go look at it from this year because they use USA bracketing, but I could, and I don't have access to their tournament, but I could probably go pull up the 6 and under thing and show you, relatively speaking, how many athletes they had. But
So can we assume then that these, if we only have this many weight classes, that those brackets are going to be humongous?
no, because you still have to qualify. The brackets at districts might be pretty big.
Okay.
But the brackets at state are still going to be 16-man brackets. We're not
Yeah.
changing any of our policies. For how
But
you
are we going to get flack from the people that run districts because now their brackets are going to be 3 times bigger?
That is a possible scenario. It is a possible scenario. But what I've always said, and I think Richard, I don't want to speak for Richard Sawyer, but you know, the biggest population of kids we have is 6 and under, and it's like the whole conversation about we should get rid of high school. That is total bullshit. Total bullshit. We should afford every single one of our children the opportunity to perform at the highest level in the biggest stage in the stage. Period.
I agree with that. I was just trying to make it so the district people didn't have to be there till midnight, because now instead of having, this bracket, now they're looking at 128-man bracket because they got all these kids and only, 11 weight classes.
Yeah, I don't believe you would have brackets that big at districts. You're talking about spreading those kids over 4 different districts. Will it put more strain on districts? Yes, but here's the thing. And I will let Richard Sawyer answer this. Richard, what percentage of 6 and under kids wrestle at the current 6 and under thing and then turn around and wrestle at districts as an acre?
Districts is before 6 use.
Right. But it's still the same thing. You're still going to have a huge population of 6 and under kids that are wrestling 8 and under, and then they go to the 6 and under thing the very next day.
There's a larger percentage that participate in the 6 and under just because they believe 6 and under only because they believe that's their best opportunity, and only the top tier of the 6 and under participate currently in our program as 8 and unders, because especially in either the very low level weight classes or the higher level, because they're more competitive there.
Yep. I'm going to say it's probably 25. It may be 20, but the bottom line is we have a pretty significant proportion of 6 and unders that are wrestling 8 and under at District City.
I guess, Stephen, I guess part of my question is if I'm a 6 and under parent and somebody's wanting to participate in that tournament, I look at the 6 and under boys and the 8 and under boys, and I wonder why we're going 5-pound increments for the 6 and under boys and basically 3-pound increments for the 8 and under boys.
You could be my setup man, Richard. So ultimately, my ultimate solution would be to normalize those weight pound increments. That's what this worksheet is. This worksheet does exactly what you said. What it does is it normalizes to 5-pound increments up to a certain point. Then you jump as you get heavier and heavier, it goes 10 or 15 or whatever the case may be.
Oh, that's boys too. Okay. Yeah.
So my ultimate solution would be to normalize 5-pound increments across most weight classes until you got to there. And ultimately what it would do is you would basically have the exact same number of brackets for boys that you have for. So if you were to do this solution, then and pair it with the girl solution, the only thing you're growing is the girls by 15 brackets. You wouldn't actually grow the boys overall tournament at all. We would just normalize. And if you go to USA Wrestling National, that's what they do. It's 5-pound increments till you get to a little bit heavier weight class. And then if I jump by 10, 15, or whatever the case may be. But I agree with you. I think most of them should be 5-pound increments.
Boys
Until,
too.
yep, until you get to the girls or to the high school division, and we should wrestle whatever we're wrestling. That keeps it simple for. So I need to step away from my computer for like 5 minutes. I will let you guys debate all of these various scenarios. And when I come back, you guys can tell me what you guys think. Okay.
Hey, Steve, did you see some of the comments?
What are the comments?
I saw, I think they're in the chat, but I saw JC put something there and I saw Derek.
Yeah, it was so brief. It was so brief I couldn't see it. Oh, click on chat up here. Okay.
If you aren't reading the chat, JC basically stated that he likes the idea of adding 6 and under to the state tournament. He's a little concerned about 5-pound increments for the 6 and unders because of possible weight cut pressure by parents. And there's a bigger difference in 5-pound increments for little tiny 6-year-olds than there are for maybe even 8 and 10-year-olds. It's not that as big of a deal at those weights or ages. And Derek said that he was curious what the other directors felt about adding 6 and under because their season is really pretty long as it is. And if we move them to the actual state tournament, that would actually push their season back in terms of length as opposed to what it is now. So that's what he said in case any of you didn't get to read the chat.
Thank you. And thank you, Susan, for bringing up the district topic, and the impact that it would have on district, because a lot of times we haven't thought about that. JC, did you have any comments relative to your district tournament?
Can you guys hear me? I don't think my speaker's working very well.
Yes, we hear you.
Okay. No, I think adding the 6 and under state would be good. I know, like in our club, looking at it from a club, director perspective instead of a district director perspective, is that 6 and under state tournament as it is right now has always been a great kind of a team building event for all those 6U kids because they all get to go to state. You can take 30 of them and they're all buddies, and they're all qualified, right? Those brackets are huge. It's kind of a big deal when they win it. So that's something that I've always liked about the 6U unsanctioned kind of, or not unsanctioned, but state tournament kind of as it is right now. I think doing this would definitely make it more elite. I wonder what it would do to team camaraderie and building it at such a young age, which I think is so important to keeping kids in it for the long run. If that makes sense. Instead of taking well, as it currently exists with the Heartland State thing they got going on, you got the huge brackets, but you can take everybody. Not everybody has to qualify, so you can take a whole bunch of kids. And now, if we put it in 5-pound increments, the number of kids that would actually qualify at it would be significantly less. That would be able to go on the trip and stay in a motel and hang out with their buddies and kind of do it that way. So, I think 5-pound increments for 6Us, especially those lighter guys, is pretty steep. Yeah, I personally feel like that. I think the number of qualifiers would be small, and I think it could hurt building that team around those memories that keep kids involved in the sport for a long time. But I'm all for it. I think 5-pound increments for a 40-pound to 45-pounder is pretty big.
Just from my perspective, it doesn't make any difference to me. I'll have the officials there. We'll work as we always do. So, I can go either way with this. And Susan has her hand up in case she wants to speak.
I was just going to say, totally agree that 5-pound increments are a lot, but maybe could we say, hey, we're going to do it in 5-pound increments this year and kind of see how, things work. And then next year we'll adjust that 6-year. Or are we wanting, and the reason I say that is because girls have been Madison weighted for years, and 5 pounds to little girls didn't seem to be a lot back in the day when we were trying to Madison weight them. I do think, though, that if we're going to use these state tournaments as qualifiers, we have to get close to those weights, because telling somebody where we have, let's say in a national tournament, it's an 85-pound weight class, and we have an 87 or an 83, and who's going to get that 85-pound spot, that makes it a logistic nightmare for anybody who's trying to put a dual team together. So those are my thoughts on those particulars.
JC, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I think one thing that we should look at is how many kids were entered in the 6 and under state tournament, as it was called, last year, at like 41, 43, 47, those weight classes. Because I bet 43, 47 probably had 50 kids in each one of those. So even though they're 2-pound increments, you got 100 kids in there. Whereas like at 75 pounds, 6U, there's probably 6 kids in it. So like, there was a need to Madison bracket girls at one time because there just weren't a lot of competitors. And I think we've got to be smart about that as we look at 6U kids. And if we're putting 5-pound increments at 41, 43, 45, whatever it is, in those 3 weight classes specifically, if I remember right, there's 50 to 60 kids in those brackets. And that's a lot. And now we're going to put it in 5-pound increments at those lighter weights. That's drawn from a pool of 150 to 180 kids. I think 5-pound increments at those bigger weights is exactly what we need. But those smaller weights, I don't know if we're doing them justice.
Jesse, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to echo what JC said there. I'm looking at bracketing and like at the 6U 43, there was 40 kids in it. At 45, there was 33. At 41, there was 18. So, you're looking at all of those, essentially being a 64-man bracket with the exception of 18 or 41 and 43, but those would be combined into 40 under this new weight class, with 39 having 16 in it. So, it is a significant amount of wrestlers.
Hey, you're
Yeah.
talking about spreading those 64 kids over 4 different district tournaments. So
100%, and that was going to be my next thing, to address what Derek brought up, regarding the district tournaments. We did go to, in District 4, we did go to a 2-day tournament this past year, and it worked really well, with the exception of, I mean, the girls basically had to wrestle on Friday both weekends at districts and state. But you know, just as an FYI, I guess, I mean, that's probably what this is going to look like from a district level, just by adding some of these. If we do take 6U into the fold, obviously it's going to extend the runtime at the district, not significantly. I'm not saying it's going to extend it significantly, but it is another mat to worry about, and things like space and time. So, and then thirdly, and I apologize for missing Salina, but the way this is being proposed, or the way we're looking at proposing this, do we need to be a little careful about what this bylaw change would look like from the stance of, we need to ensure that we have a change that's voted on first to add 6U, and then secondary, we need to discuss the weights, or are we trying to do this all in one fell swoop?
I can kind of speak to that, Jesse, because
Okay.
I was there and I was really paying attention to it. Basically, the reason why we're even having this meeting tonight was because we had 4 different proposals for weight changes and 1 for adding 6U, and none of them separately would have been a good idea to vote on at the state body, because some of them overlap each other, and then you're talking about changing a change that we just voted on. So we were trying to get a consensus together on what all we think that would satisfy everybody at the state body, and then we will go to one person who made a proposal and say, will you allow a friendly amendment to your proposal, and then say, here's what you want to do a friendly amendment on. That way we can get all of this done through one proposal, and then the other 3 can just say, hey, we're not even going to do those anymore, or we can vote no on them now, so we don't have to worry about that.
Scott has his hand up.
Okay, thanks, William.
So to kind of answer your question to begin with is, we can go to the state body and say, hey, here's what we think would make or at least most everybody happy. And this will encompass all the changes that everybody was asking for. And we can do this just doing the weight class changes, or we can add 6U to the state tournament at the same time and add those weight classes. So it's kind of 2 different things that we could ask, and we can package them all together if that's the way that we think that it would get passed, or we can just separate the 2 questions out and do it that way.
Okay, thanks for bringing me up to speed.
Up. Go
Yes, thank you, Kurt. First, I have a question. When is the Kids State Tournament or the 6U right after Salina's Tournament Champions, or when is that event?
It's usually the Sunday after our kids districts.
After
Scott.
kids districts?
Yes.
And so we're paying for a separate venue for that event. And forgive me for my ignorance. I just look at it as, go ahead.
USA Wrestling Kansas does not have control or authority over the 6 and under state tournament. That is ran by an individual person who owns that tournament.
Okay, I see.
An individual owns and runs that tournament. It's not sanctioned or controlled by USA Wrestling Kansas.
Okay. The only reason I was asking is if we would save money by going ahead and including it into the regular kids folk style state tournament venue.
And by the way, I do. Go ahead. Sorry.
But I was just saying, since it is a separate entity, that doesn't matter. And then the only thing else I was gonna say is, I agree with JC. We do have to be careful when we look at the weights in the 5-pound increments, because you will get very overzealous parents wanting to cut weight, even on these young kids. And we do got to be conscious of that and not be naive, you
Yeah,
know,
so the one
as
thing I
well.
would,
And that's
the
all
one thing-
I'm going to say.
okay, the one thing I would say about this is, you know, we have evolved wrestling in Kansas very, very well over the years. I would say our evolution of wrestling, the addition of girls, things of that nature has evolved very well in Kansas. The one area that I don't think that we've done a very good job, if I go back to 1997, 1996, there wasn't a single tournament in Kansas. There wasn't a single major tournament in Kansas that actually honored 6 and under kids. There wasn't a 6 and under division at Salina Tournament Champions. There definitely was not a 6 and under division at Park City Classic when it was around. None of these tournaments have ever honored the 6 and under kids until probably 2004, when we started offering 6 and under as a separate division at the Park City Classic. And since that time, all of the other major tournaments in Kansas and the small tournaments, every single tournament offers 6 and under except for our kids state tournament. And I don't think we're doing our 6 and under kids the proper kind of service to them and recognitions.
Yeah, Steve, I don't think anybody's disputing, not having it at the state tournament. I was just looking at financial cost if we were going to save money if we were hosting it already. But since we're not, but again, back to, I think we really need to study and focus the weights to make sure, we're doing the right thing for the kids is all I'm saying about it.
I would agree with you on that, 100%.
And I would probably say to the issue of cost, we're already going to be paying for the facility for those days. So to add additional brackets, and not necessarily brackets, but to add additional mats, the only major cost that you're going to have is we're going to have to bring in additional officials, but that's always been part of it. And that would be the case whether we were adding a 6U division or adding more mats just for the rest of the divisions as well. So I don't think cost is really going to be a big factor for us. And the reason why that particular tournament as it exists now is done by a third party, so to speak, is because previous boards of USA Wrestling have declined to have a 6 and under division. And so those individuals went out on their own and said, well, if you guys aren't going to do it, then we're going to do it because we recognize the number of kids out there that would like to have this kind of tournament. And so that's kind of where we are. If we decide that we are going to add a 6 and under division, then that separate entity really doesn't have a choice. They can continue to try and run their tournament the way that they do, but they'll find out, just like when they took the novice championships away, that they would just not have the entries that they used to have, and it won't be worth their time for them, I believe.
Derek, you had
For
posted something in the
clarification
chat relative
purposes,
to the weights. You want to cover those real quick?
Yeah, I just ran through real briefly, pulled in what was that, because we were kind of curious what that looked like, number of entries was. And I got on USA Bracketing and pulled over the 6U state last year, and then just tried grouping them roughly based off of the proposed 5-pound increments, just so everyone could see what those numbers look like. Obviously some are kind of on the bubble there, so I might have gone down a weight or 1 pound or up 2 pounds, combined in there, but that's pretty accurate for what we had entry wise.
That's correct. But once again, it would be those numbers roughly divided by 4 districts. Because at state, you're still a 16-man bracket. So 45 looks kind of tough, but it's that number divided by 4. You're never going to have a bracket that big at any individual district.
I don't know about that. I mean, as a district director, I think with if we did bring 6U under the fold, I know there's several that don't go to 6U state from District 4, just whether it's a travel thing or whatever it might be. But if it's being held within our district, I could see those numbers, and a good thing, right? I could see those numbers increasing. So, but you're right, Stephen. At the end of the day, when we get to state, there's only 16 in each bracket. So, but I could see those numbers being pretty large at each individual district.
And I would say, Jesse, just as an aside, there is nothing in our current bylaws that prevents districts from re-implementing sub-districts for their districts, and you can do it for just one age division. Now, is that really fair to the 6U parents to be like, well, you've got an extra weekend that you've got to wrestle? But it is possible to do it.
Yep. And you kind of read my mind on where I was going there, William, because that's been brought up in District 4 the last few years with our numbers. So,
Well, just one last thing. Once again, my proposal has everything to do with making it more equitable for our 6 and under kids to have that grand experience. That's what I'm learning.
JC, you had some chat text there.
No,
You want to go over that?
I was just saying that I think it's great that we're trying to do it. I just think that I think just putting a blanket sheet down of 5 pounds for the whole way is probably not the best. I mean, if we're talking about equitability, we want to make sure that it's equitable for those kids as well. And some of those, like what Derek posted, I think that's a really good stat with those numbers. And I think, based on this, there's a need for a 45, a 47, a 49, right in the meat of that. And then, up in those bigger weights, maybe it goes 65, 75, 85 heavyweight. I think we can cut some of the weights down at the uppers and add some in the mids to make it equitable for all those wrestlers. Because, some of those kids who are really good and will be great prospects for the state of Kansas, we don't want them being forced to cut weight by their parents, not thinking they're good when they actually are, when they're, 6th out of 111 and they all came from the same district and they don't qualify. And, there's a perception that they're not as good as they could be potentially.
What I find to be very, very interesting is, once again, back to equity, not only between 6s, but also between boys and girls. If I go look, so this is the USA National age divisions that they wrestle at USA Wrestling. We offer 19 weight classes for 8 men. USA Wrestling offers 9. We offer 21 weight classes for 10 and under. They offer 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And it looks like they're 10 and under. What's weird is, you go 40, 43, and then 45. There's a 2-pound break here, and then 4-pound break. And then, it's just, to me, it's kind of all over the road. I'd pick a number 3, 4, 5. Might have to do something different with the older weight, with the heavier weight classes, but we are certainly not in alignment with a lot of the other entities. Derek, did you get a chance to go look at what the other states were? I know we talked and we're going to go check out what the other states are doing in terms of weight classes and incrementing some things of that nature.
I have not. I'm trying to find Missouri State tournament from last year, but it was not on track. Let's see if it's on here. Oh.
I think the real answer is the proposal. The ultimate proposal should be that we should have a annual or biannual committee that reviews ages and weight classes and brings forward, hey, here's what we're gonna do. We've been doing the same shit for 30 plus years. Other than adding the girls, I could tell you that other than adding girls and changing from 16 and under to high school, all of our ages and weights have been the same since 1996 with one exception. We added 8 and under 88 pounds. My son Stephen won 8 and under 95 pounds in 1997. There was no 88 pound. That's the only weight class I can recall that I know of that we've changed in 35 years, other than switching from 16 under to high school and adding girls.
What was the question about Missouri? Was it whether they held 6U at their folk style state?
Not just that, but what were their age? What are their weight classes? What's their increment? What is that? How many
They
brackets?
did not have 6U.
Yeah, they didn't have 6U. It's on bracketing.
Yeah.
And
How
then
many
their
brackets?
boys,
How many
their
brackets
boys are,
did they offer?
yeah, their boys are all 5-pound increments for the most part for 8U, 10U, until you get to the upper weights. 8U, 10U, 12U, until you get to the upper weights. Is that what you're seeing, Derek? That's what I'm seeing. So.
Yeah. I was just scrolling through it. That's what it looked like.
They basically follow USA Wrestling bracketing weight classes, correct?
Yes, for the most. Well, those lower ones for sure. Have to get them laid side by side.
While they're mulling that over, Stephen, what I would say, if that's what you think would be the best way to go, then you'll definitely need to have an in concrete proposal for next state body meeting, not this one. And you really have a lot of time to think about it, obviously. But think about what that would look like. And what it would do is basically get the state body to vote to authorize a committee, whether it's yearly or bi-yearly, and that would be comprised of, whatever members that you think would be necessary, obviously some from each district, and then say, hey, this committee will have their recommendations for weight classes for this year by this date every year. And if they can't come to a consensus and vote on changes, then the prior year's weight classes stand, and so on and so forth. And that basically prevents us from having to have these proposals come up and mull them over and multiple proposals every year. It just puts that ability in the hands of delegated people each year, and then they can argue amongst themselves. And if they make no changes, they make no changes.
JC,
I do agree. Go ahead.
JC, you put something up.
No, I was just looking around the different states, and I saw South Dakota. They only have a few weight classes, but they're really heavy loaded at the light ends, and it's worked for there for as long as I can remember. That's where I grew up, and they always had a 6U state tournament, but it's very heavily populated in those lightweight classes, and then it gets really big up in the heaviers. So, and they do four regions, kind of like what we do. So, I mean, it's not very many weight classes, but it's spread out pretty thick at those lighter weights.
So I think there would be nothing. I do agree. I do agree with William. My ultimate proposal, I screwed up and didn't put in the 5 pounds for everybody. What we really have to vote on is accepting the girls, either adding 6 and under or adding the other weight classes that Rusty and this Michelle Anderson person suggested, or a combination of adding those and 6 and under. And then on the boys' side, since I screwed up and didn't include the 5 pound increments, maybe for 1 year, we could implement 6 and under and absorb it. I do think that from an overall schedule perspective, it has very little impact on the state tournament. So I think we've had enough debate. What would you guys like to do? Because we still have one other topic to discuss.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept Rusty Miller's proposal on the girls' weight classes, if that's doable.
I second.
Who is that second?
Sorry, it was me, JC.
And did that leave out the 6 and under girls in that motion?
He was, the way I understood Jesse, it was we were keeping the 6 and under girls in it.
Correct. I can restate my motion if I need to. I recommend or I'd like to make a motion that we accept Rusty Miller's proposal to also include the 6U girls, which I think was in his proposal, wasn't it?
You're muted, Stephen.
I'm sorry, it was not. It was that the 6 and under was 100% my proposal. But what I hear you say is you want to make a motion to adopt Rusty's additional plus 6 and under.
Correct.
Perfect. I'm noting that in my file, and I'm happy to email this file out to you.
Okay. So this is just for girls at this point, right? Jesse?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
If I remember the original proposal from Rusty, it was only with regards to girls, to women's wrestling.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Because like I was saying earlier, what we need to do is if there's anything that's included from somebody else's proposal as part of Rusty's, then we'll need to get a hold of Rusty and say, hey, we want to accept what you said, but there's a couple other things that we want in there as well. Would you be fine with somebody else proposing this amendment on top of yours? Not that he could say no, but.
So here's the thing. For example, we got this Michelle Anderson. Her proposal was simply to add 14 and under 210. Rusty's proposal covers that.
Good.
So you
Well,
don't
then
have to
forget
reach
about
out.
her.
And the same as with the other one. I can't remember what
Okay.
the other one was, but it is also inclusive of Rusty's proposal. So
Okay.
if you accept Rusty's proposal, you accept the other two automatically.
So then
It
we
was
would
Darren
just
Schneider.
need to get a hold of those other 3 people and say, would you please, I can't think of the word I'm looking for right now, is withdraw your proposal because you're covered under the one that's going to be presented.
Well,
And that should
we
take
could
care of
we could also, as a board, not approve those to be voted on. Is that correct, Kurt or William?
That's true.
Yes, we could, but they still get to vote on it. It'd just take 2/3.
Okay, I got you. I see what you're saying, William. Sorry.
So we approved Rusty's. We're going to vote on Rusty's as a board and not on, we're going to vote on it. If we don't say yes on the other two, then we will vote, correct?
Yes, and what Kurt would do at the meeting is just say, here's the proposal that Rusty put forward. It covers the other 3 people's proposals. So we're going to vote on this now and understand that if you do vote yes for this, then we'll present the other 3 proposals and then you can all just say no to those because there's no point in them. That's kind of how it would go.
Okay.
But his motion was to accept Rusty's and mine, which would add 6 and 8, at least
Yeah.
for a year. They're 5-pound
Okay.
increments. Let's get them in there for a year and then we can reevaluate, did it go well or did it?
Okay, so in that case, you'd have to go to Rusty and say, okay, we're going to accept your proposal, but we need you to let a friendly amendment, not that he can say no, but we want you to understand we're going to amend your proposal with Stevens to add the 6 and unders.
Well, once
And
it's presented, Steve or William, once it's presented at the state body, we own the proposal. So we don't have to ask, I mean, sure, it's a great thing to get him to agree, but at the same time, we're essentially already agreeing to it. We don't have to ask him permission for a friendly amendment to his proposal.
Right. Well, I guess I didn't mean it like we're asking. I mean, we need somebody to actually propose the amendment.
And technically, if you're going to approve the addition of 6 and under girls, because my proposal was 6 and under girls and boys, you're really proposing we do both, which would be this guy.
That proposal probably needs to be made that we include a 6 and under division, period. Not just for boys or girls or, yeah. That
is correct. Because my proposal that I made has boys and girls adding for 6. And we could cuss and discuss, let's do it for a year. Cuss and discuss, is 12 brackets enough? Do we need 15? What do we need to do next? I just want to get the 6 and unders at our state here.
All right. Well, Jesse's proposal right now is just for girls. So unless he wants to change that, then we'll have to do this in 2 separate votes.
Okay, so I guess that's where I'm going to go back to what I was looking for clarification on. Why? So if we're leaning towards, Rusty's proposal on the girls' weights without the 6U, why wouldn't we vote on that and then vote on Stephen's proposal to add 6U to the state tournament? Is that a cleaner way of doing it or not? In everybody's opinion?
Probably because they were two separate bylaw changes. So I agree. We should vote on Rusty's, be inclusive of the other, then vote on 60.
Okay.
I agree.
Do you concur, William?
I think that's a good way to do it.
Okay.
So we have a motion on the floor from Jesse, and that was to accept Rusty Miller's proposal for women's weight classes. Was there a second to that?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Steve. Is there any other discussion? Means I hear there is no discussion. Let's go call the question. All, I will state by name. Your vote. Derek.
Yes.
Stephen.
Yes.
Mickey Johns.
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Susan.
Yes.
William.
Yes.
Charles.
Yes.
Dylan.
Yes.
JC.
Yes.
Richard.
Yes.
Rich is not on. Jesse.
Whoa. Scott, or I'm on.
Rich Zimmerman. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize.
Jesse.
Jesse votes yes.
Okay. That means that motion carries. There was no abstain or no's to that vote. It all carried by all votes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 yeses.
Yeah, unanimous by those attending the meeting.
Yes. Do we have another motion?
I'll motion that we add boys and girls 6U state or 6U division to state.
Damn, I can't hear that.
Derek, that was you, right?
No, that was Dylan.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dylan. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
I was going to say, I couldn't hear the motion. I assume it was just to add the 6 and under division, correct?
It was boys and girls 6 and under division
Right,
added to
right,
state.
right. Okay, yeah, I concur.
And Susan, you agreed to that second?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Discussion? Being as I hear no discussion.
I do. I am going to bring up one question.
Okay.
By the way this proposal is stated, I'm just trying to, I'm clarifying this in my own mind, talking out loud. So, it would be, if it passes, it would be presented to the state body and it would be effective for this next year, meaning districts would need to include 6 and under at their district tournaments, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just wanted to clarify.
Scott, your hand's up.
Yes, sir. I just wanted to make sure if we voted yes, are we also voting for these weights that are posted?
Yes, sir. It would be based on what was submitted as the change for the bylaw. Yes, sir. You're exactly right.
Yeah, at least for at least for 1 year, so we could, it's kind of like what we did with the girls. We voted the girls in and we put them in Madison bracketing, and a few years in, then we adjusted them to fixed weight classes.
Yeah, I just looking at those numbers, I think we need to add more to the lower end, and then maybe not as much up top is all. I think we do need to look at that a little bit harder before we just jump into it with both feet. That's all.
It's Jesse. I kind of agree with that. As much as I don't, as much as, it's going to cause a little extra at the district level, I agree with that. I think we need to look a little closer at the weights.
Can the state body amend those weights by 2/3 vote?
Yes, they can. So, if we pass this motion right now, then we're going with what Stephen has on paper now. But you can tell the state body, if you pass this proposal, then we have 6 and under in. Now, you probably want to come up with another set of weight classes that you think will work, and then add that as an amendment. That way, by the time we're done with the meeting, we'll have 6 and under in on both boys and girls, and we'll have the weight set for 6 and unders, and it can be those 3-pound increments or whatever else. Everybody else is at 5 pounds, like Stephen submitted. That's the one way to go about it.
Okay.
And I am perfectly, if we could say yes to this, I'm perfectly agreeable with the friend. I'm not fixed on the weight classes. I just want to get our 6 and under to 10 state. So I'm not going to be upset if we do a friendly amendment and change weight classes. I'm okay with that. I just want to give them a chance.
Richard, go ahead.
Would a appropriate way to word this is that we want to add the 6 and under division for both boys and girls, subject to we've got an idea for weight classes, but subject to the body's agreement, and if we need to adjust some weight classes, we will. That way it doesn't change the 2/3, the 50% to 2/3.
I like William's idea of having an A and B, and A maybe being, the 5-pound to start with, and then B, having another option, because this could get discussed all day long in Salina or wherever our state body meeting is going to be at 6U.
Yeah.
So
I think it's worth having a second set of weight classes that we would propose based on analysis of those weight classes and the way they've been filled elsewhere. And that state body has the power to override this motion and include that by 2/3 in that meeting.
Okay. And then you just got to be very clear with the state body when this comes up, because the first vote's going to be do we want to add 6 and unders, boys and girls? And I'm 100% sure that, well, I don't want to say 100%, but I'm fairly sure that that will get voted in for sure. And then you come back and you say, okay, now that we've got this, here's the 2 set of weight classes that we can go with. And so we need you to vote which one of these you want to go with, because that's what we're going to do. So that at least gives the clubs the opportunity to choose which ones they want to go with.
Is the better motion that we add 6 and under boys and girls, and the board recommends to the body a friendly amendment after their vote for these other weight classes to be considered?
Sure, that's exactly what I said.
Yeah.
Okay, and you said the motion, right? Or was that Dylan who said it?
This is Richard. That's my motion. Yes, correct.
Okay.
Well, that's
So I wrote
if Dylan
that.
made the original motion, then
That's what I
he'll
thought.
either have to amend his or withdraw his and let Richard make his. One of the two. It's the same function either way.
Dylan will withdraw his.
Okay.
Okay, so Richard, please go ahead and restate your motion.
Oh, Lord.
It had to do with,
Right, that we accept the 6 and under division for both boys and girls, and that for the weight classes to be determined by the state body. And that's what you want too, isn't it, Dylan?
Yeah, I think, and we offer them the A and B. These are the 2 proposed groups of weight.
okay, so what I hear for the motion is boys and girls 6 and under state age bracket, or the age be added with the weights that were submitted by Steve, and the board recommends a friendly amendment to alter the weight classes as suggested with a 2/3 vote by the body.
Yes.
That's what I heard.
So now, does Susan want to second that like she did the original?
Yes, sir.
And that was Richard. Richard, that was your original motion, right?
Correct,
Okay.
correct.
And Susan Redmond will second.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Though I hear no other discussion, I'll call the question. We will go to a vote. All in favor of the motion? Hello? Steve, your mic's on. The motion is adding 6 and under girl and boy state as was proposed by the weight classes of Steve, with a suggestion to the body of a friendly amendment to alter the weight classes as suggested with a 2/3 vote. That suggestion, I think we go ahead and make those weight class suggestions to the state body to make sure that we don't have a lot of discussion going on. We've already seen some really good input here tonight from JC and others showing what's worked in other states. That said, I think we have that with it. Susan, you seconded that?
Yes,
All in
sir.
favor- All in favor of that motion? Derek? Derek? You in favor of the motion?
Sorry, I was muted. Yes.
Okay. Steve Foster,
Yes.
Mickey,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Susan,
Yes.
William,
Yes.
Charles,
Yes.
Dylan,
Yes.
JC,
Yes.
Richard,
Yes.
Jesse,
Yes.
unanimous. That said, let's move on to the next topic. William, I'll let you go over your rule modification, and that's the last item of this meeting.
Okay. Let's see. Sorry, I got about like a billion folders on my thing right now, so. Oh, here we go. Sorry. Let's see. Everybody see my screen right now?
Yes.
Okay. I'll try and keep this short and sweet, but basically what I found out in the last year was that some of the language in our bylaws is completely outdated in terms of officials, what's required out of them to actually officiate our events, and work postseason and so on and so forth. And so what I wanted to do was standardize that language so that it was very clear to all officials what would be required, because we did have a number of officials that wanted to work postseason last year, and I just flat out told them they couldn't do it because they weren't meeting the requirements as they were in the bylaws then, and they certainly wouldn't now with my proposal. So basically, this should have been sent out to everybody, but I can send it to you if you want me to. But I just took the current language that's in our bylaws, and everything that I wanted to change was in red. And so the main part of it down here is that all officials starting in the coming year have to be registered with USA Wrestling, which they already had to be anyway. They have to be registered with USA Wrestling Kansas, which is us, and they have to be high school certified. That's a big one there. There's no reason why our officials working our event should not be high school certified, because they need to take the test and they need to have a rule book. That's a huge one. And both of those things come with high school registration. So that is what I have codified into the actual bylaws that we have. And I left in the exemption for our individuals that are 19 and younger and still enrolled in high school and middle school, because we have plenty of young kids that want to try their hand at officiating, but maybe they don't want to spend the $65 to $150 that it costs in fees just to try something out for one time. So I left that exemption in there. There's various other language changes in there, but just know that everything in there is the way that it really should have been to start out with. And so that's really what this whole amendment is about, because in fact, that exemption that I was talking about doesn't even currently appear in our bylaws. So it shouldn't have been done in the past. It just, people were like, nobody's going to know or whatever. So that's actually in there. The last part of this is something that I personally have wanted for a long time, and I'm able to make that happen now, which is that we as an organization do not have a standardized uniform that sets us apart from every other state out there. Our current bylaws basically state that you have to wear the same uniform according to the NFHS standards, which is fine, except for half or more of our officials are wearing KSHA logoed uniforms, which makes no sense because they're not working for KSHA. So I have included in here a shirt, a specific shirt that I had designed for our organization, which some of you may have seen already. I think I showed it at the last meeting that we had in Salina. and that would become the official shirt of our officials, and all officials working our events would have to wear that shirt. And I said the reason for that was because our officials should be proud to work for this organization, not only as an official, but just being a part of the organization. And this will allow that because the current bylaws that we have state that they have to wear what the NFHS says, which is the high school uniform. So it's not a big change there, but it's something I think will be very nice for our officials to wear, because we do have a number of individuals, including myself, who go back and forth between different organizations. I work high school and I work kids and I work, all this stuff. And so we want them to be wearing our gear, so to speak, our USA Wrestling Kansas gear when they're working our events. And part of this is there are other affiliates of USA Wrestling, like Missouri, like Texas, like Arkansas, who are already doing the same thing. If you go to their events, you'll see them wearing their own shirts. And so I think that's something that we should have as well. So that's a long-winded way of saying this is what we should be doing. Anybody have any questions about that?
So William, like for not Southern Plains, our freestyle Greco state tournament, I know we had brought in some out-of-state officials, and maybe I guess I can't think of another event this year, but would that include those officials from out of state?
No,
too?
no,
Okay,
because the NFHS rules basically state that you are also allowed to wear an event provided shirt.
Okay, gotcha.
And so
Okay.
that's what we do at the state tournaments. We're providing an event provided shirt for those events. So this is just
Okay.
basically regular season stuff.
Good question.
And
Jesse.
if we do, because I know there are several clubs like down in the southern part of the state, and basically the bordered clubs, they do have officials from other states come in and work their events sometimes. And this bylaw change doesn't really pertain to them. It's okay for them to, wear their Missouri shirt if that's all they have and all that. This is really mostly just for our officials here in the state.
Okay. Question for you. I know that within the rule modification section, there is a section that recommends it for the entire year. And then there's a section that says this governs the qualifying tournaments.
Correct.
Is your proposal for the qualifying tournaments, or is it for the entire season of anybody who's hosting a tournament? And
It's for the entire season. And there's still the section down here under it would be item 8 now, that talks about what the official has to be in order to work the kids state qualifying tournaments, which is basically they have to work at least one regular season tournament, and they have to work the district tournament unless they have a waiver from either me or the state folk style director, which would be Derek, because there's really no reason to ever have somebody in that situation. If they haven't worked a kids tournament all year, then why on earth would I recommend them to work the state tournament? That's not fair to the officials who have spent their time working kids tournaments, at least a couple during the year. So.
More discussion?
This is JC. Are we ever going to revisit the days when club directors had a say or could vote on the officials for the state tournament? I know I've had quite a few club directors ask me about that. Is that something that we'll ever even think about doing again?
And I can answer this because you weren't at the meeting we had.
I was not. Yep.
Yeah. So there is a proposal actually that was submitted that we have already voted on because somebody kind of proposed that. And we ultimately ended up voting against that as a board. So it can still pass. It'll take 2/3 of the state body to pass that. But what I will say is that up until this point, and even including now, there has never been anything in our bylaws that state how officials have to be selected for the state tournament. In the past, up until about, I want to say 8 or 9 years ago, when Keith Ashpool took over in this position, we had really always kind of just left it up to the districts to select officials for the state tournament. And they would say, hey, send us your 5 recommendations. We'd take like 5 officials out of each district, and we'd take between 2 and 4 at-large bids, and so on and so forth. And the problem that arose from that was that while there were certain districts like District 1 and I would say District 3, who always provided really high quality officials that should be working that tournament, we always had 2, sometimes up to 4 officials from across the state who were recommended by their district who had absolutely no business being at that tournament, to the point where one individual we asked to leave because they were so bad. And so that's kind of what prompted this impetus, starting with Keith, that basically said, why don't we let the officials director pick the officials, because he or she is going to know best who is qualified and should be working this tournament. Now, I can't speak to what Keith did as far as who he asked, but all the district directors now this year will know that I sent all 4 district directors an email this year who's basically asking them to do the same thing, which was, give me your list of individuals that you think should be at the tournament from your district. And I got feedback back from at least 2 of them, and a couple of them declined for whatever reason. Doesn't make any difference. I'm okay with that. So the short answer to your question is, right now that's not required. If that's what's passed by the state body in that proposal, then that's what I'll go with. That's fine. But if it's not, then we'll continue to do things the way that we're doing them now, which I'm not going to pat myself on the back, but I think I'm pretty well qualified to make those decisions. But just be aware that if we were to go to a system similar to what we had in the past, that there are going to be people that are sent in there that really have no business being there. And it's all about, whether they're likable or whatever. And it's not about their skills as an official. And that's not really what we want to have at this tournament.
Yeah. Richard, you have your hand up. You're on mute.
There we go. For clarification purposes, Nigel, that was Districts 1 and District 2 that submitted that proposal, because we had so many, and I can even name names, but that's not necessary. We wanted the officials director in conjunction with, and at that time, Mark Stanley, to be involved with the solicitation of officials, simply because there were officials, as you alluded to, from certain districts that just weren't qualified to be there. And I believe that the officials director should have the ability, along with the state tournament director, and even general, back in the day, Mike Juby didn't want to have anything to do with that, but even our state chair to determine our officials, because we sometimes get some folks included in there. We had I'll just leave it at that. Thank you.
I think, not to say that somebody else in this position after me would do the same thing, but I think I tried to do a really good job this year of soliciting input from the district directors, but also by the time I got the list of everybody that I thought should be there, I also said, are you good with this? And nobody raised any issues with it. And so I thought that was the best way to go about it. And as it turned out, there was only one official who really struggled at this tournament, and that person won't be back anyway. So
and that person wasn't from District 1 or District 2.
Well, the one was.
Hey,
from
question.
District 2.
Question. Is that all that discussion part of this amendment?
No.
Okay. So let's go back to the amendment. Any more discussion on the amendment? I do only have one question. Does this limit you from being able to have a state official shirt?
No, no,
Okay.
because that would be an event provided shirt.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, so is there a motion on the floor to accept?
I'd like to put
Williams?
the motion on the floor to accept Williams' proposal. This
I
is
second it.
Susan.
This
Okay.
is Stephen. I second it. I
Susan
second it
and
and vote. I second it and vote yes.
Steve. Any more discussion? Hearing none, I call the question and we will take a vote. All in favor of accepting the rule modification for officials that was made by Susan, seconded by Steve. All in favor? Derek,
Yes.
Stephen, yes.
Yes.
Mickey,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Susan,
Yes.
William,
I'm good with it.
Charles,
Yes.
Dylan,
Yes.
JC,
Yes.
Richard,
Yes.
and Jesse, are you still with us? I think he had
He
to.
voted yes in the chat. It said that he had to hop off, but he
Okay.
said that he voted yes.
Okay, so that is unanimous. We had three items that were unanimously decided tonight. And that had to do with Rusty. It had to do with the boys and girls 6 and under state and the rule modification. We are done with this meeting relative to the topics that were on the list to be discussed. Is there anything else before I entertain a motion to adjourn?
Can I ask, since I have all you board members on here, I need your guidance on how you guys want to handle the dues that are still owed for Fargo boys, the duels for cadets, junior boy duels, and 14U girls and schoolboy duels. Because our year ends at the end of August, and we have, between those tournaments, we have $6,632.29 in outstanding dues.
How much? 6,000 what?
$6,632.29, and some of those are kids that got discounted fees to go on the duels, and they still didn't pay.
Aren't those usually collected by the coaches that go with the kids? That's how it's done in the past.
Well,
Hey,
usually. But I
Mickey, can you send me a list of any girls that are outstanding?
So in the spreadsheet that I sent out to everybody,
Uh-huh.
I had all the expenses and where everybody was at on all the tournaments. The very last tab says dues that are still owed.
Okay. All right. And where would I get phone numbers?
I did make modifications on and removed. There was 3 Fargo boys that got removed because they did not go to Fargo, which I made that adjustment. But as for everybody else, I can send out a new sheet tonight. I'll send out an updated sheet showing where we're at, basically, because I had one
Mickey,
long page 200.
Yeah, I'll follow up on those kids that you sent me and get a hold of their parents. And
Yeah, because what I am proposing, because this is a large amount of money on everybody, especially the Fargo kids, like they shouldn't have went. There's one kid that we approved to go.
yep,
The rest of them shouldn't have got on the bus. But if they're not going to pay by the end of the month, then we need to freeze their cards and their parents' cards.
Yeah, and that's what I'll tell them when I inquire about them paying, settling up on their what they owe. I'll let them know that if they don't, then the cards will get froze.
If they need, I can send all these parents a Venmo, or not a Venmo, a invoice so that it shows what they owe. I don't mind sending them that.
It's still on
But-
that balance spreadsheet though, right?
It is. It's still
Yeah.
on the spreadsheet, but I did
I
do
still have that.
I did some changes on the ones that you said that didn't go to Fargo, and I had one girl mom pay 200 on a dual invoice. So I'll send it out tonight just so that you guys have an accurate one.
I'll
And
take
then-
care of that. I'll have a little time tomorrow. We start school tomorrow, but I'll have a little time. I'll sit down, and email those parents. And then if I don't hear back from them, I'll call them.
Yeah, so yeah, that's all I need to know, how you guys want to move forward.
I'll do that. And then if I don't hear back from them, calling them or emailing them, then Kurt, I'm gonna let you know who those individuals are. And then you guys will have to make that call on freezing that card for the next.
It sounds like that's what will happen. That we'll freeze that until it's paid. So,
Well, I'll get on it tomorrow. It'll be Monday. If I don't hear from them by the end of the week, I'll let you know who they are.
okay.
And then just FYI, I did go to Bilby's today, and I did pick up all of the old gear. So I
Cool.
have, I don't know, 20 some totes of old gear that I've spent all day going through and organizing.
So we have, shit to launch into the stands this year.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, let's look at it.
Oh, no.
Can I,
No.
can I
already
aim it?
There's 3 totes that are going to get launched. Like, they're from 2002 and 2008 and 19 Dickety 2. Like, it's really bad.
I might want one of those.
I
was
Richard, you
around
had
back
your hand up.
I did pull
I did,
out-
Kirk, but I took it down. I just wanted everyone to know that I got 53 text messages last night from Kurt's friend that we have a discipline issue on.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about, Kurt?
I
Can we launch them all at him?
No.
I'm just
Discussion in here.
53 text messages, my word.
I did take t-shirts out to make a t-shirt quilt to do a raffle for.
Cool.
So I will put that in motion and send you guys an update on that.
Is it
Okay.
possible we could do 2 quilts? 'Cause
I am
bet
Anything-
actually,
Mickey,
So-
anything else?
I am actually making 1 t-shirt quilt, and then I am going to do 3 sublimation quilts. I'm going to do one with the girls Fargo pictures from this year, and one with the boys. And then I'm going to do one with folk style state last year.
That would be amazing. That'll be
To do-
amazing.
A raffle, and the money's going to go towards to help fund some kids to go to Fargo, is what the money's going to be used for. And I'm going to put the bill up for all 4 quilts.
Cool.
So outside of the t-shirts that I just robbed from you guys, that I did not put up for. But so there will actually be 4 quilts that will be raffled. Now the
Cool.
question is, the one will probably be at Folk Style State, obviously, because it's going to be a folk style quilt. And then the other ones, I'm guessing we'll probably do at Freestyle Greco State, since they will be leaning towards Fargo. But
Okay.
that's something that we can always determine later. So, anyways.
Thank you, Mickey. Hey, one last thing. I will be doing business by email. I went to the Leadership Summit and found out from USA Wrestling, like everybody else, there will be no changes to card prices or any other things that they purchase, whether it be a sanction or whether there be a charter or whether all of them are the same price. We came in $52,000, almost $53,000 based on the $3 that was missing from the processing fee that we used to get. I am going to put together a proposal through an email because by the 18th, not by the end of the month, USA Wrestling is going to allow people to purchase cards starting on the 18th. So I will get that into email to you guys on what I'm proposing our card prices to go to, and then just look it over, and it'll show what the generation of funds will be from that. And we either agree to it, disagree. We'll have discussion through that email context. But let me get that information out to everybody, because by the 18th, 17th, I need to let them know what our prices are so people can start purchasing them. That is all I have for tonight.
Briefly, you're going to recommend that our card prices stay the same, correct?
I'm going to recommend that we make up that $3 somewhere that we haven't had anywhere. We missed out on $3 on every process that occurred.
$3. Where'd that discussion for another day? I move that. Thank you, Kurt. I move that we adjourn.
Okay. A second to it.
I second it.
Thank you, Susan.
Have a great night, everybody.
Have a good evening.
Good night. Thank you all.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Kurt, are you still there? Kurt, did you drop off?